Oracle's always argued for having date with a time component. Some databases have just data load. Angie supports date without time, but Oracle's always had time, and that can sometimes be annoying, but it's maybe more accurate. But even being more accurate, what they forgot was a time zone. Like, how can you be accurate without that final piece of information? And so the later data types, timestamp with time zone and timestamp with local time zone, were attempts to address that issue. And my general sense is there were, at least in the beginning when those new data types were introduced, there were in fact valid reasons for avoiding them, and they were related to performance and optimizer issues. But you know, we're in 18 now, coming up on 19, and these should have long since been addressed. So I certainly wouldn't stay away from them by reading old articles on optimizer issues.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't buy into that. It should be always a decision, I think, between timestamp with time zone or timestamp with local time zone. And really, I would probably avoid timestamp with time zone because I think that the information is irrelevant. In the past, what we used to do is, you know, when you just had date, the time zone was an implicit part of the schema. Hopefully all of your date columns were in fact stored in the same time zone, and you just had to know as a DBA or, you know, a developer what that time zone should be. But it was implicit, and so it was scary. Timestamp with time zone makes it explicit and that you have that extra component, but the reality is most people don't need to record the time zone of something. What really matters is when somebody's reading a date back out, what it is to them. They want to know,
mm-hmm.
you know, to me, what is that that value localized to my time zone? And that's what timestamp with local time zone offers. So most databases at this point, when created, should have the database time zone set to UTC or GMT or something along those lines. And that means, you know, the database upon storage will normalize the time component to the database time zone. So it doesn't need to store the additional information once it does the conversion. And then on read, it's going to convert to the session time zone. So in the Apex world, what we often do is just give a user a preference. So, you know, they have some kind of profile or account page. They can go in there and set their time zone, and then any date you're reading, you know, you just do it in the session initialization logic. You're going to set it to that time zone for the user, and then any date that gets read out is automatically converted for them, which is really nice.